My next guest is coming off a round one rear naked choke over Marcus Maulding at OCL 8. And of course, it is Travis Bam Bam Davis on the show. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Yourself?
I'm good. Thank you for the time. And another win. This one was a quick win, obviously in the first round. Were you expecting it to be so soon?
Honestly, I was expecting him to keep the fight standing a little more. He actually shot in on me after I landed a couple leg kicks on him. So I wasn't really expecting it to go to the ground so early. I thought for sure it'd be more of a stand-up fight. My game plan was to kind of keep my range and make him miss and then counter off the misses because I've watched a lot of video on him and he threw a lot of, like when he comes forward with a lot of pressure. My game plan was to move off the line and then counter off of that, and then look for the takedowns when I was ready. But he actually took me down, so that kind of caught me off guard.
Obviously, it's great to get a first round finish, but at this stage of your career, are you starting to feel more and more pressure, not just to get wins, but to get wins emphatically and quickly?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's always on everybody's mind when you're a fighter and you're trying to make it to the next level or whatever level you're at, or whether you're in the UFC and you're trying to get those title shots or whether you're in the regional circuit trying to get to the UFC. I think finishes, that's what promotions look for when they want to sign a fighter. Is he going to be exciting or is he going to be boring? But I think it's kind of a double-edged sword there because, sometimes you get these guys that put on fantastic fights but lose by decision because the match was such a close matchup between another fighter, so I think there's two sides to every coin, I guess, when you look at it, but I think everyone likes to see the finish and, that's what I look for, but it's hard to go for the finishes sometimes because you got to worry about is this guy, I guess if you're confident in your conditioning and everything else, you can just go out there and go balls to the wall the whole time. But I think the more experience you gain, I think the more you realize that you want to slow the fight down. And that's when you actually see more openings and then you see the finishes and get them.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes all the sense in the world. And another question, as far as like your conditioning goes and your training and whatnot, as your career is evolving, are you it at all as far as the older you get, just to kind of make it better for you to recover and whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. You still have to put in those grinding practices, the wrestling and the grappling and stuff like that. The sparring, as far as sparring goes, one of the things that we've changed to now is we do a lot more body sparring than we used to do. A lot of head sparring, and then everyone's kind of like backed off of that the last couple of years. They're like, well, maybe we shouldn't be trying to kill each other in practice all the time. So yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to your coaches too. My coach was more of an old school coach. He's been around for a long time. So when we started out, everything was grinding all the time, just trying to kill each other in the gym. And now he's much more like methodical with his practices. And, we'll go hard this day, but then the next day we drill a little bit more. So, yeah, the older I get, the more I realize I have to do a lot more stretching. I actually did yoga this morning, so I do yoga once a week now. I would have never done that 6 years ago. There's no way I've been like, yoga, get out of here. But yeah, definitely. Now I got to do it.
Absolutely. I haven't stepped in the cage myself, but I do train. I enjoy it. My favorite thing is hitting mitts and boxing class. Is there a certain discipline that you really enjoy more than any others?
Honestly, I really love boxing. And that's why I also do pro boxing as well. But I also like the grappling too. I'm actually getting ready to leave next week for Worlds to go to try to win the purple belt Masters Worlds, and then hopefully get my brown belt finally. So even though I just got my purple belt a year ago, I feel like I should have had the brown already. So I'm trying to get there. But yeah, no, I just like. I think when you do MMA, man, you have to put in your time in all the sports. I got judo class tonight, then jiu-jitsu sparring tomorrow, then Sunday I'll do gi jiu-jitsu. So I like them all. I just like competing. So I don't really want to pick one over the other.
That makes sense. Where is the world's going to be held? Are you going to Vegas?
Yeah. Orlando, Florida is where they're holding it this year. Usually it's in Vegas, but with COVID still going on, Florida is pretty much one of the only places that are letting you have events like this. So they're actually I went and won Pan Am's a couple months ago down there in Florida, and they're doing Worlds there as well.
Okay. Now, obviously, last couple fights have been for Ohio Combat League. What has that been like as far as fans in the stands and all the testing and quarantine? Just kind of run me through that, all the precautions that they're going and what you've experienced.
So, compared to like what the UFC's doing and stuff, it wasn't anything like that. We had to fill out some forms saying that, we hadn't been around anybody. Pretty much, if there was a yes on that form, you probably weren't fighting, because most of the questions was like, if you had been around somebody in the last 14 days, or, have you quarantined? Have you had COVID? They checked our temperatures. We all had to weigh in individually. We didn't do like face-off photos and stuff. So that was kind of different than, what I'm used to. And then in the back room, they had a lot of the fighters stay in their rooms till it was closer to their fight time, because it was at a hotel venue. So, that was a lot different too. I'm used to, like, they used to make us, even when you're the main event, they'll have you there at 4:00, and then you got to sit there for 6 hours until you get to fight. And it's like, come on, So I think, honestly, for some of it, I think it's going to be really good changes moving forward for Ohio, like as far as the commission stuff goes. So I think some of the stuff's going to change. I think it'll make it a lot smoother, to be honest with you. So I can't complain about that. I just wish we could have fought a little bit more this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Were there any fans in the stands? I know some regional promotions, they're like a quarter full or whatnot. What was it like for OCL?
300 spectators at this event. Could have easily probably had like 2,000 in the venue that we had. There was so much space. But yeah, they had 300 spectators. I still got to have my mom and family and friends come and watch the fight. So, a lot of those guys were super excited to finally have something to do, more than anything. Because it just feels like everything's kind of been like, as far as concerts and shows and stuff, sporting events, unless you're going to the NFL game or something like that, you don't really get a chance to see anything go on right now.
So how has the pandemic affected your day-to-day life? And also just like your training in general, has it altered the way you actually go about your normal camp?
Yeah. I mean, for this fight, so I went and did Pan Ams, and I got back from Pan Ams, and then we had 2 people test positive for COVID at the gym. So all the guys that had trained with those 2 people had to go on restriction until they got negative test results back. So I had to go on COVID restriction twice from the gym, where I missed almost 2 weeks. I got to come back, and then another one of the guys tested positive, so I had to leave again for like 7 more days until my results came back. So that was kind of a pain in the ass as far as the training goes, and the weight cutting. So that's why we actually ended up doing a catch weight at 195, and then go figure, Marcus ended up showing up a little bit heavier, so we had to bump it up to 200. I didn't really care, man. I hadn't fought all year, so I was like, I don't care if he weighs 225 pounds. I'm fighting tonight, so I'll go drink some water and eat some food before we weigh in.
Have you had to, I guess, really monitor closely what you eat and drink just to kind of stay in a good weight range for you so you can make weight?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. I kind of blew up when they shut down the gyms for a couple months at first, the first restrictions. And man, I got up to like 230 almost, and I usually walk around like 200 and 205. And we were just doing a lot of late night eating and no exercising because the gym was closed. And I just was kind of having a hard time finding the motivation to go out and work out, and run and stuff. I like doing live workouts, the hitting the boxing sparring and the mitt work and the grappling. Like I hate having to like think the only idea is running as a form of working out. So yeah, it was a tough weight loss. I had to get the 25 pounds back off of me, and I'm walking right now at 200 because I'm hoping there's a UFC shot around the corner. They need a last-minute fight, whether it's at middleweight or light heavyweight. At this point, I don't really care. 15 pounds is all my training partners are 205ers, so I'm just like, I feel faster than them. They're just hella strong.
Yeah. Well, I know that you fought for the OCL middleweight championship. That was a loss to John Poppie. It was a cut. Run me through that, the learning lesson that you took from that setback.
Yeah, so the biggest learning lesson was, I came out a little too aggressive against John, and I was trying to leg kick the shit out of him, and he, man, if you watch the fight, he shot on me the whole time, and unfortunately, fighting in the regional circuit here, most cages are pretty small. Like the cage we fight in is it's only a 20-foot cage, so there's not a whole lot of room to move. Like once you once you're engaged in a grappling match, it seems like it's a grappling match the whole time, you know. And John did a really good job at pressuring me and taking me down. I mean, I thought I won the first 2 rounds, to be honest with you. But I started to get really gassed towards the end of the second round. I went into the fight after competing at World's No Gi. I had a back injury. I had a horrible weight cut. Pretty sure I had COVID-19, honestly, at the time. It was before everyone had made it a big thing. But me and my girlfriend both got really sick after we got back from California, and I took the fight anyways because I'm kind of a dumbass like that. You know, I had to let my pride get to me, and I was like, you know what? I can beat this guy even sick with a bad back. I can beat him. And he cut my eye open in the 3rd round. It was bleeding a lot. Unfortunately, the doctor that we had at the fight that was at the thing had never done an MMA show. He'd only done boxing events, and he thought the cut was too bad to continue. And I obviously tried to argue, but you know, once the doctor says the fight's over, there's no turning back. So, yeah, I mean, I'd love the opportunity to fight John again. I think that would be I mean, I think I can beat him if I had a good camp and I was healthy.
Oh, maybe you'll get that opportunity here soon. You said you and your girlfriend were in California. What were you doing out there?
So I competed at Pan Am's, or not Pan Am's, World's No Gi last year in December. And I think that was like December 16th, like 16th or 17th. And then I fought January 4th. So we got back from California. She got sick. And then I got sick. I mean, I was like, I had like 8 pounds of water weight I had to cut. And the whole time, even right when I started my weight cut, I had like diarrhea and I started vomiting. And I was just like, all right, 8 pounds. Hopefully, I guess this is one way to lose the 8 pounds. So
that's true. I used to live in California. What part were you in?
Oh man, that's a good question. Is it the Disney place? Where's the?
Oh, so Anaheim.
Yeah, it was Anaheim. So there's this the Japanese restaurant that they have. It's called Coco House that they have out there. So they had one in Japan when I was in the Marines, and I hadn't been to one in like 7 or 8 years since I got out. And we drove like 45 minutes to go eat at the Coco's Curry House down there.
Very cool. If you get a chance, if you ever go back, you got to go to Duke's in Malibu. It's right on the ocean. It's named for the guy that basically invented surfing, and they have just the best fish tacos. Just the food in general there is fantastic.
I'd love to check it out, man, for sure. I've only been to like San Diego and Anaheim so far out in California.
Okay, well, next time, hopefully you get a chance to visit there. Tell me, man, what are the goals now for you as far as your career goes? I'm assuming, it might be Bellator, UFC, there's all those big-time promotions, and I know that's probably where you want to be here in the near future. So just kind of run me through where you're hoping you'll be at in the next year or so.
Yeah, man, so my goal has obviously always been the UFC ever since I started MMA. I honestly said when I first started, I was like, I'm going to make it to the UFC by getting on the Ultimate Fighter. And when I didn't get selected for this season, when they brought it back, I was pretty bummed out because, I don't like saying I'm 33 years old, but, 30, I feel like I'm in my prime right now. And to not be in one of these bigger promotions, kind of like it's kind of, I don't know, it hurts. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I can compete against these guys and beat these guys at UFC level. But honestly, I would be open to Bellator or even like One Championship or PFL. I just want to get to that next level. I mean, I feel like, I've done my thing here at the regional scene. I've made a name for myself around here. But I want to go to that next level. I want to be world known. I want to be nationally known. And I just want to fight the best fighters I can fight. And so, whether it's the UFC, Bellator, PFL, I mean, that's on my management. I just want to keep winning and hopefully, Iridium and them, they're doing great so far for me. And obviously I had a couple setbacks with the Poppie fight, and I lost that split decision to Josh Frim, a couple fights back. So I've had a couple setbacks, but I think I'm set. I'm ready. And, my goal is to keep fighting, man. I feel like even though I'm 33, I don't have kids. I train all the time. I feel like I could fight until I'm like 39, 40 years old.
Yeah, or even longer. I mean,
longer. We'll see how it goes. Father Time is he's the one to tell me when it's time to hang it up.
Absolutely. Time frame. When would you like to step back in next?
So I'm looking at a professional boxing match right now in January. But honestly, if something else came up, I'd go right now. I mean, if the UFC opportunity or Bellator or something, right now it's I'm looking at a regional boxing match, and then if nothing comes up with the UFC or LFA, I mean, I'd go fight at LFA at this point. I just want to, because I know that once you make it to LFA, it's usually one more step, and then you're at the UFC. So anywhere, man, I'd fight right now. I feel good, so I'm injury free. So yeah, anytime.
If you're not fighting for the UFC next or Bellator PFL, and you're not rematching John Poppie, is there someone in your area that you're thinking would be a good next step for you?
No, I haven't thought that far ahead yet as far as who would be. Most everybody that I've fought around here, as far as Ohio, I've already fought all the guys from Ohio that are in my weight class and stuff. So I don't think they would definitely be somebody from outside of Ohio. Whether they're Southern or out west, someone comes in. I would love to get the Poppie rematch. I don't really think he's super interested in fighting me again. But we'll see what happens.
Sounds good. Who is it that you get told you resemble? Because you remind me of someone. I'm not sure who it is. I'm thinking maybe Jarrell Mershart a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I get fucking Conor McGregor all the time around here, especially with all my tattoos and stuff. But yeah, I think there's some bigger guys. I think I have one of those faces, like that just looks like other people, I think. So I get stuff all the time, and people like I was just somebody yesterday, and someone asked me like, what football team did you play for? No football player, just an MMA fighter, man. So I don't know. We get it all the time down here.
I want to give you the floor. I appreciate the time. Anyone you want to thank? Any social media you want to plug? The floor is yours.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, thanks to Iridium and stuff for my agency for getting me this interview and stuff. But like my team, all my teammates, Ronin Training Center, and all my sponsors. So many to list, but go check out my Instagram page, Bam Bam Davis 185. And then you can look me up on Facebook as well at Bam Bam Davis, and give me a follow. I appreciate it.